Hi there, it's Paulie here with my friend Mr. Snoots, and we're off exploring Bali at the moment. I'm sitting in fact, a temple doorway in Bali, and I'm sitting in a temple doorway in Bali because a publisher sent me their game, and I'm really glad they did because this is excellent work. It's really quite exciting work. I'm loving seeing the imagination and the skill that's going into a lot of the indie games that we're getting these days. This one is called Fear of the Unknown. Now, what it says in the back cover and what it delivers is zero prep, horror, mystery, role-playing. And it does it brilliantly. Seriously, this is a brilliant game. So, the inspiration for this has come from every single horror movie or series, good or bad. But it's a big genre. So that can cover creature-style horror like Aliens or like Tremors, or it could cover simply hunting down a murderer or a horrific murderer that's got a terrible modus operandi. So that can be the Hannibal Lecter kind of thing, or it could be the whole Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th, Freddy kind of strangely powerful or supernatural killer. It could just be a murder mystery with a horrific twist. It could be Scooby-Doo. It could be zombies. It could be classic horror. It could be vampires. It could be Universal style werewolves. This does it all, and it does it brilliantly. So, zero prep role playing. What it does is it structures your role playing mystery as a story. And a story needs characters, and a story needs setting, and a story needs protagonists, a story needs some kind of direction, but it also needs triggers that actually set off the action and get characters involved. To start off with, the group sits down and they design a setting. There's a series of questionnaires in here where they have a default setting, which is kind of the small town, which is where 99% of American horrors are always set, and a lot of British ones. So, questions about the town. There are a series of things called tags. These are aspects of a person or a location that can be important and can be triggered in the game. There are both positive tags, negative tags, and wild tags. Positive ones are ones that, as personal tags, tend to affect you positively. My guy is a golden gloves boxer. A negative tag is something that tends to affect you negatively. I'm also a drunk. A wild card sort of tag is one that might come into the story in any number of ways, and maybe it could be good and maybe it could be bad. It's like, my old high school buddy has ended up as the sheriff of this place. Alright, but was it a good relationship or was it a bad relationship? Was the guy secretly jealous of you or always competing with you? So it can be turned to advantage in making the story more interesting. So you design a setting that has tags, and those tags can be locational. There's the haunted house on the hill, there's the strange old monument, there is a graveyard people tend to not go near, there's the good old high school where everyone's got fond memories except for those who had the living crap bullied out of them. Hey, whatever did happen to that girl who vanished? There are organisational kind of tags, the police here who are corrupt, the very famous football team, hey, they have a winter festival. These sorts of tags are placed in here as well. Now, these are things that will hopefully appear in the game. So you kind of, whoever is chosen to be the storytelling umpire in this, they're listening and they're watching because they're going to turn these into aspects of the story. But once you've designed the setting, everyone designs characters to suit that setting. There is a series of questionnaires, again, which has a series of 16 questions about your character. Where did you come from? How are you connected to the setting? And they give you a huge series of potential answers there to pick from. You can just pick your own, but I was born here. I was dragged here by my ex, who then left me, and now I'm just stuck here. Well, I was in the war, and this is where I came from, but I've come back and I feel really alienated because no one seems to care what I went through, and now I'm just a bum. These are all positive and negative tags that start coming out as you answer the questions. So you end up with a set and limited number of tags from this. Also, associations with NPCs that you created during the creation of the town, and quite probably with other players. If you're playing with more than one person, I have run this for one person, by the way, and it runs really well. So now you've got characters, you have some relationships or potential relationships between the characters, you have a setting, and you have relationships between the setting and both NPCs and player characters. Woot! The umpire, meanwhile, as they listen to all this, they then have their own little charts that they can roll on or choose, but there's these beautiful charts already set up here. They create the mystery, what's going on here. So they're having to answer their own questions, which they can randomly roll or choose, but what's going on here? Who's doing it? What is their motivation? What are they hoping to achieve? What are their weaknesses? How can they be defeated? Now, this could be a supernatural thing. It could be perfectly natural. It could be a crazed killer. It could be a copycat of a crazed killer. You can set these up as one-shots, or you can set them up as a series. Some more on that later, because it's a fun idea. But the umpire makes something, cooks up what's going on, looking at how this might work on some of the NPCs that have been created, PCs that have been created, and some of the tags, because those tags have given them potential locations or potential stress or potential enemies for the player characters. Right, so now you've got that. The umpire then creates the instigating event. What brings the player characters, or who are called protagonists in this, by the way, what brings those protagonists into the mystery? And again, you can just roll, and it could be as blatant as you're asked to investigate, an old role-playing thing, or you stumble across the body, a mysterious message from a friend. You're driving down the road, and some naked girl covered in blood comes bursting out into your headlights, and you almost hit her. You've turned up to visit your old buddy who sent you a strange message, and there's just no one home. Well, his car's there, but no one's been here for weeks, etc. Now, it runs by scenes. There are basic moves that the players can do. The very basic ones are investigate, where they ask a question. They're placed into a scene where something has happened through the role play. They can ask a question, and their tags can come into play. So let us say they find that there's been a murder and say, oh, okay, well, how did this person die? All right, that's an investigation question. So my old pal, he's become the sheriff, so I'll be able to lean on that tag and ask him. The umpire can also activate negative tags that work against you, and can choose to make a wild tag work against you if it seems to spice up the story. All of these moves, you roll 2d6, and there's a chart which shows you what kind of successes, options, penalties, and so on apply. In general, a 10 or higher is great. You not only kind of get the answers to what you're doing or achieve the thing, but you get something extra. You can choose from a little menu. The menus have two sorts of choices. There are choices that you tick off. Once this type of choice for this type of action has been ticked off, you don't get to do it again. So there'll be 2 or 3 of these. And there's another one which often has additional consequences, like someone's taken notice of your investigation. If you tick that one off, it reopens the other options that you've got. So by taking these little penalties and these things that thicken the plot, you do get the other good options back. So the game kind of channels you into pushing the action along. But the 7 to 9 bracket tends to be a success, but again, there are some boxes that you can tick to see what kind of success. Some of them are better than others, and you're losing the really good options until you take one that's got a little bit of plot tug in it. The 6 and less, that's usually a failure, and if it's a failure, now the umpire chooses a not so much a penalty but a complication, and again ticks those off. Other moves, there is face the horror. If you come across something truly horrific, the decapitated body of your friend that you were going to visit, or the person you're talking to suddenly screams and the head explodes, or you suddenly discover the horrible slime trail of some titanic thing that's been dragging itself up out of the sea and has left a whole bunch of human bones in its wake, like holy crap, you roll to face the horror. Now, there is an economy of different things that you accumulate during the game. One of these is horror. Anytime you have to face the horror, you gain a horror. You roll 2 dice and you add your current level of horror. So this gets worse as it goes on. The more you face, the more the horror builds up and the more extreme these things are. Some of these things cause kind of penalties and so on. Some of them make you start acting in an unplanned way. And it keeps coming back to this type of fiction. Have you ever looked and wondered why this person's doing that? No. Oh, you're throwing popcorn at the screen because instead of doing the sensible thing, this character's panicking. This character's, emptying their revolver by firing through a window. This person's like, oh shit, I'm going to run and I'll frantically try and call the cops, even though there's something out here possibly stalking me or whatever. These are the kind of reactions that this generates, and the higher the roll, the worse it gets. But you always come out of it with increased horror. The other things that you can do is basically set a character building or world building scene. And this tells some story about your character. Lovely little idea. And if you roll well on this, you can gain some humanity. So let me see. Your basic... what have they got? Yeah, so you've got things that you acquire through these rolls and so on. If you play world building and person building scenes, these can sometimes activate tags and so on in you. So you get foreboding. Now you gain that resource when you miss a roll, and you can use these when you're telling part of the story that's outside of your character and what's happening today. So you can do a flashback about what happened to you, what happened to you in Nam and why this has affected you, and that can actually start bringing in some extra tags and so on. But you spend foreboding to get a bonus on the roll there. Alright, you get horror. As you face horror, you gain horror as bad things happen to you. But you can also do some things to basically try and internalize the horror. Is another type of move you can do. You spend humanity to kind of increase your roll and try and burn off humanity, and at the same time it burns off a like amount of horror. But for humanity, you gain that as you do positive things that affect your positive tags, and you can use it to improve your protagonist in many ways. So again, the game's kind of pushing you into engaging with the tags and so on that you've made in a positive way. So yeah, horror, foreboding, and humanity are the basic kind of coin and currency that you're playing with to keep your character going. The other basic move is basically confront the evil. You're rolling, and you could die in this. There are horrible injuries and so on. It's a similar thing. You're rolling. 10 or higher is a great result. 7 to 9 is going to cost you. You might lose a hand. You might be permanently disfigured. You might be driven catatonic. You might be mad. You might be, caught in the flames. So you don't want to get this one wrong. But what you need to do is activate those positive tags to give you the highest possible rolls. 4 things. So you gain those through investigation. You find out what this evildoer's weaknesses are, how to face them. You build that up. Now, you can assist each other. What they've done is quite clever though. You can only gain extra tags and help from 2 other people. Only 3 of you can really do something. Why? To split the party. If you're going to investigate, And through that investigation, the googly monster may leap out at you. The alien may burst out of the whatever. Good. Well, if you've got other people with you, that can help. But only 2 other people. So you might as well split the party. Let's split up and go for clues. I'll go with Daphne. Oh, hey, Velma, you go with Daphne. Those 2 are inseparable for some reason. I'll go with Scooby and Shaggy, because that's actually optimizing the dice rolls. So it's very cute. And they do make some other Scooby-Doo references through this. It's like some of the minor things that you can get if you're having some kind of face the horror or confrontation, and you gain something that gives you a temporary negative tag of some sort, and they'll say, oh, I've lost my glasses, I'm powerless without my glasses. So yes, done with a certain amount of humor. Okay, so there are your basic tools. Now there are some other you can do custom moves and so on. What they've done is they've also allowed you to do epilogue moves. So once you've actually hopefully gone through this in an act-like structure, you've initially gone investigating, there might have been like a first couple of confrontations, then maybe things took a turn. It's not the person that you thought it was, it's not the thing that you thought it was, this is more complex than you thought. You have to do more investigation, find out more things, maybe deal with the fact that the locals are turning on you, or you've lost resources that you thought you had. Bring some of those resources back with some of this humanity and improvement role-playing, gaining the extra tags that you might need. Final confrontation, and hopefully overdo the bad guy. But you can also do an epilogue, and if you've got points left, you can basically show how did this affect the town, how did this affect your character, which comes up to where they're showing examples where, so this guy dies in this confrontation in the end and everything, and oh, let's go, we got the monster, but it's a shame Sam died. To get to epilogues, wait, I've got 3 humanity, which is enough to purchase an extra roll on this confrontation chart, so I'm rolling again, and it allows me to remove 1 tag. I'm removing the tag of you died. So as the credits roll, I was pushed off the cliff, but as the credits roll, you see my character clawing their way back up over the top of the cliff, kind of thing. So you can do that, but it can also work for the monsters. So they can come back. So they've set up things for different settings. The default setting is kind of the small town, but they've said other standard settings are things like cabin in the woods, the old camping ground. A variant on the cabin of the woods would be the mansion, Frankenfurter's mansion, or the sealed base. This could be a scientific base under the ocean. It could be an orbital station. It could be the good ship Nostromo en route to LV-420. And it gives you the guidelines for customizing your own, but they do a fantastic job in the appendices of giving you all these other alternative ways of showing how to do it. And then they give you a whole bunch of settings that they've made using these rules. So that small town, it could be something like Salem in 1692, or it could be Amityville horror kind of area, or it could be some strange little English village where for some reason the new generation of children are very strange, etc. So they've done a really good job on this. A thing I really like about this is that they've laid out the rules, and then the next chapters, they've looked at those rules in detail. So each of these basic moves and every single choice that you can take and roll on that, they've expanded that out. Why have we done this? And how can you use this in your game? And so first you got the rules, and then you got the details that actually really brings it to life. So I think that's a spectacularly good idea. And because this is very nuanced, it immediately sparks up ideas, not only for stories that you could tell, but for settings that you can do. So I really like this. This is a great piece of work. They've got a considerable, what would you call it, videography, there we go, at the back, to give you inspiration. So here are mundane killer movies, here are creature movies, here are seemingly unstoppable killer movies, unbelievable supernatural killer, cosmic horror, the enormous threat, conspiracies. Now, There's also a section on how to hack the game, and I think it is an eminently hackable game. This is for horror, but as I was reading it, it's like you could do this to set up action. You could do this for an action movie style game, or any other style game you want. It could be done for Indiana Jonesy style adventures. It could be done for out and out comedic stuff. It's also set up with those epilogues and so on, so that you can do an ongoing series, and they've provided material if you're going to do an ongoing series. So, and that covers things like, is this the same monster or person back again? Is it a copycat? Is it something that spawned off it? Is it just something that's been mistaken as that? And it brings the same protagonist that you made last time back in. So yes, it's not just a one shot. You can do entire campaigns of this, and as I said, you can do everything from classic Dracula to Tremors to Aliens to Children of the Corn. What a flexible and incredibly creative piece of work. But I think the real winner was bringing in first the rules and then covering them in detail, and then not only showing you how these could be used, but also showing you why this mechanic of the crush is, what we call it when we're doing the script writing. The choices are being limited as you take them. They've disappeared, and you're starting to limit the things that you can do. Now you're going to have to take some penalties and triggers in order to open out your options again, and things only have a set number of tags to them. So if you start doing stuff that burn these, again, you're losing your options. So it's a great game. I think it makes an exciting game. I've run it for one person. I've run it for a couple of people, and fabulous idea. So I'm very grateful they sent it to me. Sixpenny games. Now the sixpence games. They've put their email address and everything in here because they're saying if you want to write content for it, please get in touch and do. And they're obviously very happy to hear if you've come up with your own kind of customizable chart for, I really wanted to do this setting, or I did this hack to turn this into, I don't know, Sword and Sandals movies or something like that. Let us know, because that's hilarious. So they're trying to engage and make a little community here, and I think it deserves one. I really do. We liked it. This is good work. This is creative work. And as a piece of games design, as in speaking as a games designer, this is really tight. That economy of the horror and the foreboding and the humanity, and I've got to do some more stuff to build up my humanity because I've got to buy my horror down, etc. Very clever, and it keeps you engaged in the setting, doing things, but always moving forward. It's not a game that has any quiet or boring moments. Something's always doing something to get you into a different position. So, absolute 3 thumbs on a trunk. Really, really good, and find it. Anyway, I will keep exploring strange places, and I will keep lugging incredibly heavy books around in them, so I can review them for you. Thanks very much to all my patrons out there. Love you. You keep the channel going. And for everyone else, please like, subscribe, keep playing games, be kind to each other, enjoy games for the joy they bring and the joy it took to make them, and look after each other out there. See you, everyone. Bye. one more idiot walking through shot, I'm going to fucking kill him, and I'm going to bury him in that garden there. Just FYI.